Hello and welcome to the Afterburners Podcast. I'm your host, Samuel Oney, and this is episode 25. With me, it's Wes Spearman. Wes, how are you doing today?
I'm all right. I'm a bit tired. In case you couldn't tell by my voice, I've been suffering from a bit of a cold lately, so apologies for that. But yeah, a long day of travelling. I'm in Scarborough at the moment, so if you hear a few seagulls, then that'll be why. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very well. Scarborough, where is that? Where is that?
It's East Yorkshire on the North Sea coast.
Okay.
Yeah, here for some cricket. Last commentary gig of the year.
Yeah.
So,
Northern Diamonds, I think they're in the semi-finals tomorrow.
that's correct.
Yeah. Well, this episode, we're back to Formula One. This weekend is the Russian Grand Prix. But before we get into that, I want to start with let's talk about McLaren. McLaren are currently third in the championship. Yeah, third in the championship in the constructors, and they've been doing quite well. Not just quite well, they've been doing very well. 200 plus points. That's including the half points as well from Belgium. So you can't take it away from them. They've been absolutely brilliant. Lando Norris, Daniel Ricciardo, the Australian got the win in the last race in Monza. So, Wes, tell me, how impressed are you with McLaren this season?
Yeah, hugely impressed. I was going to say that it's not been quite a good season for them. It's been an amazing season for them because, as you say, over 200 points, given how much McLaren has been struggling, not necessarily the last 2 or 3 years, but before that with the Honda-powered car, and obviously after that the Renault engine, and now the last 2-3 years they've just been starting to pick up the pace a little bit, if you excuse the the slight pun in there. But yeah, they've just done so well, and I'm very keen to see how they get on this weekend in Russia. From what I've heard, it could be another wet race, so it could spice up the grid again, spice up the racing.
Yeah.
Hopefully it won't be like Spa, because no one wants to see see something like that happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah, can they stop the Mercedes dominance? Mercedes have won, I think, all 9 races. I think there's been 9 Grand Prix in Russia, including the ones back in the 1910s, which weren't really part of an F1 World Championship, which began in 1950. But yeah, they've just done. They've exceeded expectations. I think I said last week. But yeah, whether they can continue that into obviously the rest of this season, and then going into the regulation changes next year, fingers crossed they can keep up this momentum and design a good car for next year, which can at least keep them in the sort of position they are now, third in the championship, the pace that they have, taking the likes of, well, potentially the likes of Red Bull and Mercedes for a challenge. Certainly most of the midfield, well, all of the midfield teams really, because they're pretty much best of the rest of them, because Ferrari haven't quite bounced back from their horror show last year. Yeah, it's just been an exceptional year for them, and over 200 points, 8 races left to go.
Yeah.
Can they potentially get up to that 300 mark? Maybe.
Yeah. And also, how impressed have you been with no, not how impressed. How would you describe Daniel Ricciardo's season so far? Like from the minute he stepped into the McLaren and up until now, because of course driving for a new team is not easy.
Yeah, it's been quite mixed, really, for Ricciardo. He struggled quite a bit in the first sort of half of. He had just started to pick up the pace in the last few races. But yeah, moving to a new team, new car, new engine, new mechanics, engineers, what have you. Yeah, I imagine it is quite challenging, especially when Ricciardo has spent so long with Red Bull and obviously Renault before he came to McLaren. But I mean, the pace he showed in Monza, and to some extent Spa as well, just shows that he's getting used to the car now. He's a lot more used to it than he was at the start of the season, which is obviously what you'd expect. But I think he can now take more of a challenge to Lando Norris, who's pretty much outperformed him race in, race out up until the last few weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully, I mean, I want both McLaren drivers to do well, but I mean, I don't think Daniel Ricciardo has a single hater in Formula One.
How can you hate Daniel Ricciardo? It's just not.
Exactly. How can you hate Ricciardo? Yeah, I'd love to see him on the top step of the podium again, or any step of the podium, really. Same goes with Lando Norris.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two exceptional, and hopefully Ricciardo can continue his form for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and well, the Russian Grand Prix, as you mentioned, Mercedes are quite dominant on that track. Valtteri Bottas, especially, he has won a few races in Sochi. I think 2020, 2019, and I think 2017 as well. So that's at least 3 times. So well, let me ask you this: do you think he can do it again this weekend?
I think so. If he doesn't get that typical radio message, Valtteri, it's James. If we don't hear that come over the radio, then I don't see any reason why Bottas can't win the Russian Grand Prix. It's probably his more favoured track in terms of just pure statistics. As you say, 3 wins out of his 9, so a third of all his race wins have come at Sochi.
Yeah.
I think it's a track that suits him and Mercedes, obviously given their sort of unbeaten record in Russia. But yeah, I mean, we all know where he's going now. He's going to Alfa Romeo. The pressure's off, really, because what has he got left to lose? Because he's already
he can just drive this season. You know, I think he can just. There's no sort of any like instructions that he's given, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, he's not got anything to lose because everyone knows he's going to Alfa Romeo. Pressure's off. The only thing that can really hamper him is what a team orders, really, because obviously Mercedes want to win this weekend because they've let Verstappen sort of go ahead a little bit. Mercedes haven't won for the last quite a number of races now, actually. So they'll be keen to get ideally Lewis on the top step. There we go. Got to get out eventually of the podium. Only a 3-point gap in the drivers' championship, so they'll want to get Lewis in first, with ideally Bottas in second, so Lewis can reclaim the lead. So we could see, purely because of that reason, because the championship is so close, that Mercedes might, if say for example Bottas is ahead, they might vote to switch the cars around, have Bottas again provide that sort of wingman role, which he's, to be fair, he's done really well over the last few years. Not so much this year, but I mean, if Bottas is just as quick as he has been in Russia, then I think Mercedes should just let him drive. If Lewis isn't quite on the pace of Valtteri this weekend, that's a big a big speculation, because obviously Lewis is a class driver. But yeah, I don't see any reason why Bottas can't win this weekend in Sochi, unless we get that usual message from James.
Yeah, agreed. And yeah, Hamilton will want to win because he hasn't won in a while. Max Verstappen will want to keep that energy going for that championship title, bring a world championship for the first time since 2013. You know, Sebastian Vettel was the last person to bring a world championship home for Red Bull. And yeah, Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, it's been the story all season, and we all know what happened in Monza. But Monza's gone, and here we are in Sochi. Right. Predictions then. Who do you think will be on pole for Russia? Who do you think will win the race? And then your driver of the day?
I'm going to go pole Valtteri Bottas, just because
Okay.
I think he's got pole quite a few times at Sochi, and as I say, I think it's a track that suits him. It suits Mercedes. I think Bottas will just pip Hamilton. That's probably Hamilton will be in second, then Verstappen third. Race winner. As much as I would like Bottas to win the Grand Prix, so he gets another win, gets into double figures in terms of race wins, I think if it comes to it, then Mercedes will opt for the team orders. I think Hamilton will win the Grand Prix. I think Verstappen will be on the podium, whether he comes second or third, I'm not sure. Depends how well Bottas, how well his defensive driving is this time around. But I think if the two cars are fairly close, then I suspect Mercedes will opt to switch the cars. So I'm going Bottas pole, Hamilton win. Driver of the day, again, just pick a random driver from the grid. Just trying to think who there is. I'm going to Lance Stroll.
Oh.
Why not? Bit of an outside
Okay.
shot. Why not?
Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Right, pole sitter. I think you know what? I'm gonna make this really easy for myself. I think Valtteri Bottas is gonna do the double, pole sitter, and he's gonna win the race. I say this off of the statistics. You know, he's won Sochi multiple times, and I don't see why he can't do it again. And it's his favorite track. And yeah, it could, yeah, hopefully no team orders and he can just race. So driver of the day, I think Sebastian Vettel. I think Sebastian Vettel might
So we've both gone for Aston Martin drivers.
yeah.
Driver of the day. Both of whom incidentally have been renewed their contracts as well for the next year and beyond.
That's great.
Maybe positive vibes for Aston Martin this weekend.
Yeah, that's great. And speaking on that, so just to clarify, Valtteri Bottas pole sitter, Valtteri Bottas to win the race, and then my driver of the day is Sebastian Vettel. Going back to Aston Martin now, how do you describe their season? Because again, it hasn't been they didn't have the best starts, but they slowly got into it.
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly that. As you say, they did start off quite slow, not where people expect them to be after the good year with racing. But I think the last sort of few weeks before the summer break, they have just started to find their feet. Obviously, Vettel got that podium in Azerbaijan, I think it was sort of, provisionally P2 in Hungary before he got disqualified for the insufficient amount of fuel. Stroll, I haven't really noticed too much actually. I think Aston Martin were actually quite off the pace I can't remember if it was Monza or Zandvoort. I can't remember that. But yeah, again, I think it'll be a track that suits them just because they have that Mercedes power, and it's a car sort of based on Mercedes quite a bit, or certainly what we saw last year. So yeah, I think they will do well, and I think again, if we've got 8 races left of this year, and then new regulations in 2022. So have they said stuff this year? Let's focus on making a quick car for 2022, be back at the top of the midfield as they were last year, or will they continue to put some focus and effort into this year, try and sort of beat the likes of Alpine, AlphaTauri, Ferrari potentially, points wise. Whether they'll necessarily beat them in the constructors, I doubt it. Certainly not Ferrari. But yeah, I mean, pace over the last few races, beside again Monza or Zandvoort, I can't remember which, has been decent. Hopefully again that they can just keep that up, and two new drivers, but 2 new contracts, I suppose, for the same drivers. Perhaps settles them down a bit. particularly Vettel, because obviously he's coming towards the end of his career. I'm sure he's got a few more years left in him. I mean, Stroll wasn't going anywhere at all. Let's face it. But maybe for Vettel, just gives him a bit more confidence. The team backs him. The team want him to stay. So hopefully he can put that confidence into some good performances on the track.
Yeah. And one more thing. Who will finish higher, Aston Martin or Alpine?
Good question. I think Alpine on the whole. I think they've got a slightly better car than Aston Martin, and I think the win in Hungary obviously boosted them quite a bit, because P1 and P4 I think in Hungary with Ocon and Alonso. But again, Aston Martin have had that podium in Azerbaijan, so I think it'll be very, very close. I can't remember what their points are now as we record this, but I think they're quite close, and I think it'll be a real scrap to for that sort of fifth place in the midfield, if you like, because the top four I think are pretty much a given. You got Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren, and Ferrari, and then it's a bit of a scrap for sort of fifth, sixth, and seventh, because you got Alpine, you got Aston Martin, you got AlphaTauri.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Williams could even get involved. They're on 22 points now.
Yeah.
So maybe, I mean, Russell got points in Monza. No one really talked about it. So are we now expecting Williams to get points most races? I don't think they will. But yeah, I think Alpine will just pip Aston Martin to that fifth place this year.
Yeah. And so speaking about the Russian Grand Prix this weekend, we heard earlier this year that Russia will be moving to St. Petersburg in 2023, moving from Sochi, to St. Petersburg to the Igor Drive track. I think that's the circuit name. What do you think of the move?
Well, I think I haven't seen much of the actual track layout.
Yeah.
Of
Same here.
Igor Drive, whatever it was. Sounds like a bit like a road name in a sort of housing estate somewhere in the UK. A drive. But I mean, Sochi isn't the greatest track. Let's be real. It is pretty dull. It's all quite flat. There's a few 90-degree corners which aren't that great for overtaking. Sochi just isn't a great track in general. So I mean, let's go St. Petersburg. I mean, it's not for another couple of years, 2023. But if it can provide better racing, more overtaking opportunities, again, I'll have to have another look at the track. But let's go for it. Sochi isn't providing that great racing, so why not? Let's try a different track and just see what happens, really.
Yeah. And so that's pretty much all the main stuff. Now, how would you like to do a quiz this evening? Are you up for a quiz?
Yeah. Let's go. I mean, I've got nothing else to do.
Good.
Let's go for it.
So tonight's quiz is on the Russian Grand Prix, but we're going to take you back 1 year to the 2020 Grand Prix. So I have a few questions on the 2020 Russian Grand Prix, and let's see how many you can get right. This is on
Sport. I can't remember a
Sport.
single thing about last year's Grand Prix, by the way.
Right. This is on Sporkle, so I am not responsible for the questions. I don't know how accurate they are, but I did some research and hopefully some of it kind of relates to the race. So, question 1: which circuit was the race held? So, the race name. Sorry?
Sochi Autodrome.
Correct. Next question. Right. What is the order? What was the order of the race in the calendar? So, how we have round 1, round 2, round 3. What was the order of the Russian Grand Prix? So this is out of 17.
Out of 17, I think it was round 7.
No, it's not 7.
Is it higher or lower?
What then? Then 7?
Yeah.
It's Oh, it's higher than 7. Yeah,
Oh,
it's higher than 7.
10.
Sorry?
Round 10.
Round 10. Correct. Correct. Yeah, round 10. Okay. So, okay, another question. Right. Qualifying. This is almost a trick question. Qualifying. Who crashed? Yeah. Who crashed out and brought out?
Crash.
Yeah. Who crashed out in qualifying and brought out a red flag?
I haven't got a clue. I didn't watch qualifying at all.
Again, I don't know how accurate this is. This is off of Sporkle.
Does it say what? Well, I presume it says what drivers are involved. Can you tell me the teams of those drivers? Because I really have no idea. For
So
some reason, I'm thinking it was a Renault. I don't know why.
It's not a Renault.
No.
The teams involved were Force India. Oh, no, that's a long time. Well,
Racing Point.
Racing Point. That's it.
Yeah.
Racing Point, Ferrari, and potential. No. Yeah, Racing Point and Ferrari, I believe.
Aren't Stroll.
It's not Stroll. No.
Perez.
It's not. It's not Perez. It's not Perez.
Leclerc.
It's not Charles Leclerc.
Vettel.
It's Sebastian Vettel. It's Sebastian Vettel.
We'll just edit that out. Yeah, I got it first time.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Next question. How many times was the safety car pulled out during the race?
Twice.
Once. Once. And that one time, there was a crack. There was a first lap collision on the first lap. Which two drivers were involved?
Again, I've got no idea.
Okay.
Two clues.
Okay. One of them, I'm gonna give you one of the answers. One of them's Canadian, and the other is a Spanish driver.
All right, so Stroll.
Lance Stroll's one of them, yes.
Sainz.
Carlos Sainz, yes.
I'm thinking, who would have been the other Spanish driver on the grid last year? I don't think there was any.
Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, besides Sainz, because Alonso's come back this year, but I don't remember any Spanish driver being on the grid last year besides Carlos.
I think you're right. Carlos may have been the only Spanish driver. Right. Okay. Another question. Valtteri Bottas won the race, as we know. But can you name the top 10 the finishing order after the race?
It's tricky. How many finishes were there? 18, I presume.
Well, I've got 17 on here. On my phone because I took a picture of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, 17 drivers.
Got Bottas won. Hamilton,
third place, yes.
Verstappen,
second place. So you've got the top 3. Yep.
Well, that was pretty much a given. Yeah. Those 3. P4, Norris.
No. Norris finished in 15th.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Norris finished in 15th. He didn't have a good race. No.
Leclerc P4.
Leclerc finishing P6.
Oh, so not too far. Have some clues.
Right.
Otherwise, we'll be here all day.
All right then. So. Oh, okay. So Renault drivers finished in P5 and P7.
Wow.
The driver who finished in P7 currently races for Alpine.
Ocon.
Ocon
Esteban
finished in
Ocon.
P7, yes.
So Ricardo P5.
Ricardo P5, yes.
Have some clues for P4. I don't think I've got P4 yet. Is it
P4,
a Ferrari?
no.
No. Perez.
Perez P4, Racing Point, yeah. So you've got the top 7.
I've got the top 7, right.
Now you need drivers from P8 to P14.
Let's just do top 10.
All right then, top 10 then. Go on.
P8.
P8.
Oh,
Well, should I say I'm surprised?
no, you said
I'll be surprised if you get this one. No, I'll be surprised if you don't get this one.
I don't get that one.
If you don't get P8, yeah. I'll be very surprised.
Science.
No.
Vettel.
No. Vettel finished
Gasly.
P13.
Pierre Gasly.
Gasly, P9.
Who else raced for AlphaTauri last year?
This driver, I think this driver is a reserve for Alpine, I think.
Kvyat.
Pardon?
Danny Kvyat.
Kvyat, yes.
Yeah. I completely forgot about him.
Only Kvyat, P8,
Oh, wow.
yeah. My gosh.
I've got Gasly P9 and P10.
Yeah, P10. P10. Oh, wow. P10. This driver. Oh, you've got to get him. I think you've got to get him. Yeah, P10. P10, you've got to get him. Do you want a clue?
Yeah, go on then.
Right. I'm going to mention a different race. This driver was on the verge of his first ever podium. No. Yeah, his first podium at Interlagos in 2020, but Hamilton ruined it for him on the penultimate corner on the way to the finish line.
Alex Albon.
Alex Albon, yes. Alex Albon P10.
Oh yeah, got there in the end.
You got there in the end. Yeah. So just other mentions. Nicholas Latifi finished in P16.
Oh, I thought you were going to say P11 then.
No. All right then. P11 was Giovinazzi. Magnussen was P12. Vettel was P13. Raikkonen was behind him in P14. Norris 15. Remember Romain Grosjean?
Yeah.
He finished in P17. And Latifi in 16, as mentioned. Stroll crashed out. Yeah, that's about it. 18 drivers. So that's the quiz done. Are we looking forward to the race this weekend?
If it's a wet race, then yes. If it's a dry race, then yes, but not so much.
We want to see some great racing action. Hopefully it will be a safe race. No crashes and no crashes. But yeah, we are coming to the end. Well, we have come to the end of the Afterburners podcast. I've been your host, Samuel Oni, and it's a goodbye from me. Bye-bye. And it's a goodbye from Wes.
Bye-bye.
And enjoy the Russian Grand Prix this weekend. So, who's going to win it? Hamilton, Vettel, Bottas, Vettel? Sorry, Hamilton, Hamilton, Verstappen, or Valtteri Bottas? Who knows? Bye-bye.